Are you a tech professional searching for a new company to share your tech skills with? Yeah? Well, then you should check out Hired. Hired connects talent with top tech companies. On-hired software engineers and designers can get 5 or more interview requests per week. And since they work with over 2,500 companies, from startups to large public companies and employers from 12 major tech hubs in North America and Europe, you're bound to find the right position for you. If you use our show's special link, hired.com/the404 to sign up, they're going to double that bonus when you accept a job. That's right. They're going to double $2,000 when you sign up at hired.com/the404 show. What are you waiting for? Go check it out. Hello, welcome to the 404 show on this Friday, October 23rd. What's going on, Russ Frushtick?
What's going on, Jeff Bakalar? Should I do my radio voice this time?
No, if you're going to do that kind of radio voice, you got to do like, what's up, it's Squeaky and the Pig.
Am I the pig?
Nah, I guess I'd be the pig. You'd be
probably.
Squeaky, right?
I'd be Squeaky.
You would be Squeaky, you squeaky little guy. How's it going, man?
It's good. It's good. It's been an eventful week for me. I'm settling into my new apartment, as everyone knows. And if you recall from last week, I had a run-in with a very friendly man named Tato, who I called Taco by accident.
Yep. You called this poor guy. You thought his name was actually Taco.
Yeah, I wasn't proud. And then this week, about 2 days ago, I usually get up around 8. I work from home predominantly, so I don't need to wake up super early.
You go downstairs, you go, hey, Taco, good morning. He's like,
No.
It's Tato, you asshole.
Nope. I get at 7:45 in the morning, the doorbell rings. And I bolt up, and I
hate that.
Bleary.
I hate that.
And I walk over and look through the eye hole, and it's Tato is standing there, and I'm like, hello? And he's like, I'm here to check your heat. And I was like, okay. And I'm in frazzled, and I haven't had anything to wake me up, and I throw clothes on, and I let him in, and he's like, okay, I'm checking your heat. The heat where I had the computer desktop, apparently the panel to check the heat was precisely next to the computer desktop. So at 7:45 in the morning, I'm like a mess.
I'd be like, Tato, it'd be cool if you gave me a little heads up about this yesterday.
Right. Well, right. I certainly.
Did you do that?
Well, that's later in the story. So I'm like, Tato goes to move the desktop. I'm like, wait, no.
Tato, relax.
So I gingerly unplug everything and move the thing away from it. And he spends some time, he unhooks the panel and checks it out and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, everything looks fine. And he leaves. And the door closes and I collapse back into bed. I'm totally out of it. Flash forward 5 hours later, I'm in the lobby and my landlord walks in and I was like, hey, how's it going? So Tato,
there's a guy around here calling himself Tato who don't work here. He doesn't work here.
Tato came by and she's like, really? Oh, yeah, that was a mistake. I was like, why?
What?
It was he went into the wrong apartment.
Oh, man. So
no one told us because he wasn't supposed to be there.
Tato dropping the ball.
And it's possible that he's just getting revenge on me at this point.
No way.
You don't think he's pissed from the taco incident?
You have a thing right now.
I think we're building some sort of a nemesis.
You have a feud.
Relationship. Yeah, it's a family feud.
He's going to start mispronouncing your name.
I'm sorry, Tato. I am sorry.
Tato, I know you're a fan of the show. Do us a favor. Cut Russ some slack.
Seriously. 8:30, I can deal with an 8:30 wake up time.
Yeah.
But 7:45 is just too much for me.
I wonder if people can hear the Giant Bomb guys going nuts to our adjacent studio.
They get excited about video games.
They do. I wonder if they can hear us on their show that they're doing right now.
I hope so.
If you are listening to our program on a somewhat regular basis, you are aware that Back to the Future month is a thing.
Wait. We made it a month. Did we?
Yeah.
Just by accident.
We made it a month because it's important to us.
Now, I know you had a very spectacular day on Back to the Future Day, which was the 21st.
Yeah, it was Wednesday.
But for me, even though I love Back to the Future,
it was too much.
It was too much. Yeah. It was it reached April Fool's levels where it's just by 3 o'clock, you're just please God, enough already. I don't care that someone called someone else a bojo. Like, enough.
So I felt before I knew that I was going to get to interview Bob Gale and Alan Silvestri, I was not looking forward to October 21st. Just as a fan, because I was like, man, they're gonna beat this into the ground, and they're not gonna let us enjoy it. And I was preaching that on the show for many weeks leading up to it. But when I found out I was gonna interview the writer and the composer, I changed my attitude, and I then sort of bought into it, and I drank the Kool-Aid, or the Pepsi Perfect, if you will, and I was like, look, I'm gung ho on this. I need to be a part of this. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I started things real early. I was sitting. So let me like back it up. So I go over to the broadcast center on Tuesday.
Yes.
Now, the guy I did this interview with, his name is Vladimir Dutiers, and he's a CBS correspondent. He's
also a count.
Count Vladimir, sure. Yeah, he's vampire.
I knew it.
So I go over there, and this guy Vladimir, who I'm always on CBSN with, he's like, dude, you have to do this interview with me. He shot this entire 8-minute segment for CBS This Morning that aired on Wednesday morning as well, where he also interviewed Bob Gale and just talked to him. And they spent all this money doing the CG, like Cafe 80. They really made a nice segment out of it.
Yeah.
When he was filming that, he said, hey, Bob, I anchor. My friend and I would love to pick your brain about the thing. If we could dive a little deeper about the lore. Yeah. And he's like, sure, can I bring Alan Silvestri? And he's like, obviously, that'd be amazing. So fast forward to Tuesday morning. We get it all planned out. We know what we're going to do. I find out, hey, they're going to have the DeLorean there on Wednesday. Oh, my God. You guys are going to do a spot from the DeLorean as well.
Wow.
So I'm in front of the broadcast center. This huge boxcar pulls up, and they lower the thing. And, and what comes out?
DeLorean.
The freaking DeLorean, like working like a real car.
Sure.
And the thing pulls out.
I guess it's just a DeLorean, right?
But this was so I came to find that this was a Universal Studios licensed replica that they used as a promotional tool for when the film came out in 1989.
Really?
Like, this thing was
legit,
exactly the same.
Do you think they started with the DeLorean like body?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
they didn't like prefab like a Volkswagen.
No, this is an actual DeLorean.
Okay.
And I just couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
It was too much.
You lost yourself.
I was like, so then they're like, yeah, you're going to get in it. So this guy starts mounting GoPros on the inside of the DeLorean.
Okay.
And they're like, they go to me and Vlad. They're like, talk about what you're going to do. Like, how are you going to intro this segment? So I'm like, all right, what are we going to do? So I'm like, somebody find a banana peel.
Yes.
Someone go get a banana peel.
Yeah.
So I go to the guy who owns the car. It's this guy, Andy. He's like from Long Island. He's like, yeah, this is my DeLorean. Got a bunch of custom licensed movie cars.
So he bought it from Universal?
I do not. How he came to own the DeLorean, I do not know. This guy's
life has got to be fascinating.
First thing he's like this thin-haired dude with slick back, Andy from Brooklyn or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
It's like, hey, my name's Andy Raruto. How are you? This is my DeLorean. Don't worry, you touch this. Don't do me a favor. Don't touch anything in the car.
Don't change the times. Who knows what could happen?
Time circuits are on, but if you bang it out, we could wind up in 1830. Nobody wants that. All right, nobody wants that shit. So I'm like, Andy, thank you so much for doing this. Like, you're a fantastic sport.
Yeah.
It's like, don't worry about it. Here's my card. You ever need a movie prop? You ever need a car? Anything like that? You call me up. Yeah. I'm like, okay. When I cross that bridge, I'll hit you up, bud. So we get in. We put a banana in Mr. Fusion.
Sure.
The whole thing. It's awesome.
So is it designed like the future DeLorean?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the 2015. It's the Back to the Future 2 DeLorean.
Got it. Okay.
So we do the whole thing. It's great. And I'll link to that segment up on the show notes. So we get out of there and they go, Jeff. So there's this huge crowd. It's like 100 people.
Sure.
And this is a part of New York where like nobody lives or works.
Where is it?
So the broadcast center is on 57th between 10th and 11th.
Oh, okay. All the way on the west side.
So it's all the way on the west side.
Yeah.
It's basically in Hoboken.
Sure.
Nobody goes there.
Yeah.
But yet this thing drew a crowd of like 200 people right away. And we're in it. We shoot the thing. It's awesome. We get out, and one of the producers of the segment, this girl, Ann, who was fantastic, helping us out, she goes, Jeff, Bob Gale and Alan Silvestri are upstairs. They want to meet you before they go on the air with you. And I'm like, And already my smile is like ear to ear.
Sure.
I'm like, let's do it. So Vlad and I get up there, and they're just hanging out. Alan Silvestri is with his wife. The promoter for the Blu-rays there. Some other handlers are there.
Are they popping bottles?
They're not popping bottles, but they're in the green room, and they're just like the two most chilled out.
I mean, I don't know what you expect.
I don't know what I expected.
One's a musician and one's a writer.
Alan Silvestri has to have like a shitload of Oscars too, right?
Yeah,
like that dude's
sure.
he did Forrest Gump. Like this
Sure,
guy's.
but his primary job is sitting alone in a room writing on a piece of paper little notes.
Yeah, I mean, so Vlad and I get up there, and they stand up right away, and Vlad and Bob like knew each other from last week, so they're like super psyched.
Sure.
And I'm like, hi guys, and they're just like, hey Jeff, we heard you're a big fan. This is great. And I'm just like,
you lost your mind.
I was like, McFly, Einstein, flux capacitor, and they're just like, oh, it's cool. You know, what do you guys want to talk about? What do you have in mind for the thing? And we just start talking to him, and somehow like marijuana started getting talked about.
Interesting.
And I'm like, it was in like a joking way. It
Sure.
was joking. Because they were talking about like, well, you really got to watch the movie enough times and get in the right frame of mind.
Okay.
And I'm like, don't worry, Bob. I've been in the right frame of mind plenty of times when I've seen this movie. And he goes, yeah, that is like sometimes you just got to let loose. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, am I getting stoned with Bob Gale right now? Like, is that what's going to happen? I'm like, do I need to crack a window? Like, what's going on right here? So they're super grateful. We get down, we start shooting the segment, and we only had like 7 minutes because they're not just going to block out an entire hour for me and Vlad to geek out with these guys. I'll link to the interview. It's a lot of fun. They were super enthusiastic. The coolest thing was that they were both very happy and just, you know, the I guess like the novelty of people's enthusiasm about this franchise has not worn thin on them. Like they are so over the moon about people who are passionate and enthusiastic about Back to the Future.
And you also got to imagine for both of them, in terms of like getting crowds of people to cheer for them.
Doesn't happen too often.
No.
Like MJF,
like they're clearly
MJF and Christopher Lloyd come out on Jimmy Kimmel and everyone loses their mind.
Right, exactly. So these are guys that are like behind the scenes guys. They obviously make amazing things.
Right.
But no one is recognizing Alan Silvestri on the street.
Who happens to be like a devastatingly handsome older gentleman.
Yeah.
Who's like great head of hair and just like super psyched to be there. Like really cool. They both look great.
Yeah.
So we do the thing and it's a very sweet talk and it's a nice interview and it goes well. And then after it goes off, we're just hanging out and I'm like, Vlad had to go and continue anchoring.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm like, oh, I'll walk you guys out. And Bob's like, ask me more stuff. I'm like, really? I'm like, what do you want to know? So like I got some really candid stuff from him. Cool. I don't think anyone really has ever asked him.
Well, drop something.
So we asked stuff about, obviously the first thing we did was like the almanac.
Sure.
And he says the first draft that he wrote was a draft where Marty goes into the antique store and asks for a book, and they're like, a book?
What is that?
What is that?
Sure.
And they go, what format would you like the book on?
Okay.
Right? So he said we kind of predicted like people would have either like an e-ink sort of page thing or maybe super micro paper.
Like the USA Today.
Right, that kind of thing.
Sure.
So that was cool. He's like, yeah, we kind of thought like, oh, all books would be able to change by themselves, which is what a Kindle is.
And did they say the reason they changed is because young Biff would freak out upon seeing that?
So there's that, and also because that wouldn't roll up nicely into a pocket. Like that was a big part of the prop, narrative towards the end of the film where like the book is constantly moving around and, you know, it's got to be rolled up.
Sure.
Yeah, he told me like he saw really interesting things when they first got to the set. When Alan Silvestri first got to the set, he saw the Enchantment Under the Sea dance and was like, I need you to score this. And he's like, well, how do I do that?
Yeah.
And you know, he just said he was so overwhelmed with what they were doing. He had no idea how he was going to somehow shrink this down into like an orchestral presentation.
Sure. Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting. We asked them if they were asked to be involved in a remake, what would they say? And they were both like, absolutely
very against
not.
it from what I hear. Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Which I thought was
That's
pretty
great.
cool,
and Zemeckis
too.
feels the same way. Like he doesn't want it to ever happen.
He thinks like this needs to stay pure. We asked them about why the time machine goes back.
Oh, when it gets hit by lightning.
When it gets hit by lightning.
Yeah.
We asked them why didn't they just when Marty goes back to 1885, why didn't they just find the time machine that Doc went back to,
right?
And just siphon the gas out of that?
And how much of this is like them being like, yeah, you know,
no, like
they had answers.
Like great question. And then as I'm walking out, I go, hey, I'm like, what are the paradoxes that you love the most? Like, what are the ones that like no one ever asks you, but you've got in your back pocket? And he said two things. One, I know for sure. He said, nobody ever asks about the photograph. He said the photograph that Marty has of himself and his siblings that he is disappearing from.
Yeah.
That photograph itself. Yeah. Not the subject material in the photograph, but the photograph itself is really the thing that should have been disappearing.
Right?
And he's like, no one ever mentions that.
That's a good point.
No one ever mentions that.
Sure.
So I was like, oh, that's pretty rad. And then there was one more thing that was like kind of funny. In the very first scene when the time machines debuted in Back to the Future 1, Doc comes out, like rolls the DeLorean out of the truck. Yeah. Doesn't explain, like there's not enough room in that truck for the doors to have opened and Doc to have gotten in. And he's like, no one ever realized.
Oh, wait, hold on.
That's what he said. That's what he said.
Okay, but it doesn't matter because he's got a remote control. He could just drive it in there.
No, but he's in it.
So he could use the remote control from inside the car.
No. How does he get into the car?
Oh, I see what you mean.
There's not enough room for the doors to open.
And there's no moonroof or anything.
How's he get in?
As you know, I had a personal Back to the Future moment on my birthday, which was last week, where my fiance surprised me with tickets to go to Radio City to see the live performance. And Bob Gale and Alan Silvestri were both there, along with Christopher Lloyd. And while watching it, the one thing that stood out to me is you're doing this precise experimentation with Einstein, your dog, and the time difference when he travels through time.
I asked him.
And he doesn't have a second hand on his goddamn stopwatch.
And he said, you're exactly right. But Bob and I, and he says Bob Zemeckis. Sure. He's like, Bob and I thought a more visually aesthetic pleasing thing was the digital time.
It is more consistent. And I get that aspect, but not very scientific.
I could have gone for hours with these guys.
Totally.
And the whole what made me so happy was how happy they were. Yeah. And how down to earth they came across.
Totally.
And yeah, it was a blast, man. It was a lot of fun. So if you want to check out the two videos we did, I'll link to that in the show notes. I think with that, we can safely put Back to the Future month behind us. Even though a week from today, it'll still be October. I think it's fair for us to close the book on the Back to the Future month. I think
because I don't think anyone's going to get excited. Well, I mean, we're not going to hit the Back to the Future 3 time travel date anytime soon, unless things loop around.
Yeah. So, and I kind of said to him, I'm like, dude, like I said to him, like, you indirectly, and we talked about this last week, like you indirectly shape the future. Yeah. Right? So I'm like, what's going to happen in 2045? Like, what would happen if Marty
change the future again?
Right. Do that again. So he goes, buy the USA Today that came out yesterday. Yeah. Which is like the replica. Sure. Because they interview Bob Gale and they say, what's going to happen in 30 years from now? Yeah. So go check that out.
But you don't know.
And he goes, and then before you're saying goodbye and everyone's like hugging each other, I'm like, this is great. This is great. He goes, I'm like, thanks for, being you. And he's like, thanks for helping pay for my house. Seriously. 100%. I'm like, hey, you need any other help, let me know. And he was hysterical. Totally. It's fun.
100%.
It's very cool. Well, so there you have it.
I'm happy for you, Jeff.
You know what is killing me?
What?
I just need to say this because it drove me so crazy. I didn't get anything like signed by them.
Did you get a photo with them?
Yeah, I've got plenty of photos.
So whatever.
And I got these videos too.
Yeah, so what are you going to do with the signature of
I don't know.
Bob
I just
Gale?
would have been cool like if he wrote like Great Scott or something. I don't know. I get weird about
doing a great job, Scott.
You're doing a great Anyway, all right, closing the book on that stuff.
Good stuff.
Thanks for bearing with me while I geek out a little bit on Back to the Future stuff. All right, let's move along. This week, not just Back to the Future week, other things happened.
Yep.
Including, guess what? It's about time. Fossil.
It is really, that's a good segue.
Classic watch company.
Yep.
Well, they're gonna dip their hand in the pond of smartwatches.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you feel about this? Because the smartwatch thing has not, like, I've seen tons of them. I've worn a bunch of them. Still have not been convinced of any necessity remotely close to that.
I don't like them.
You don't like them in general? I
don't like them in general. Sure. I've worn an Apple Watch. I don't like the Apple Watch. I've worn other Android Wear watches. I don't like them at all.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. There hasn't been a lot of established watch brands that have entered the arena.
Sure. You would argue that, like, Apple hired a bunch of watch people.
Sure. But I happen to like Fossil watches.
Yeah, they're nice.
I'm curious to see how this is going to play because it's a different kind of idea. I guess they're going like a different angle on the Android Wear thing. Their circular watches are going to be called the Fossil Q line, and they're going to start at $125.
Which is cheap.
Which for a Android Wear smartwatch is on the cheaper side. So, again, like my whole thing is I need a watch that's always on. I hate having to shake a wrist or anything like that. But, I'll give a Fossil watch a look. I'm not one of these people who be like, oh, they're finally making a smartwatch.
Right.
Sign me up. I'm pre-ordering now.
Yeah.
No, I want to see just how they implement it. And this is a no-brainer for them. They're an established watch brand. They've got to get into this.
Sure. I just, it's been tough to convince people that there's a market.
Yeah.
And Apple Watch obviously had its day in the sun, and then a lot of people sort of either forgot they had it or didn't want to wear theirs anymore or whatever. And it's still kind of trudging along. So I still think it's in this period where it's like, is this the equivalent of 3D TVs? It's still kind of there, where it's like all these companies came forward and they were like, this is the future. This is what's up. You need this thing.
See, I think the problem with 3D TVs is that there was nowhere to go. Like it came out and that was it.
Yeah.
You had to wear the glasses.
Yeah.
It wasn't evolving into like, oh, a glasses-free 3D TV, even though I know those exist.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think the next step, the step that would get me more engaged is like, you don't have to walk around with your iPhone anymore. Everything's on the watch. Right.
Once it's an independently, usable thing outside of the phone tethering, then I'll check that out.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to talk a little bit about YouTube and YouTube Red. So earlier this week, YouTube came out with a subscription service, $10 a month. That's going to get rid of all the ads you see on YouTube.
Super smart.
Very smart idea, because what they did was, and like take a step back. So what they did was they were like, all right, you've been dealing with ads on YouTube for a while.
Yep.
Then they and you hate them. Then they introduced that skip ahead button, which was like, oh, I can handle 5 seconds.
Sure.
Now they're like, hey, you want to get rid of it altogether?
Right.
We'll fork over $10 a month, which I would imagine would be a gigantic boom in revenue.
Well, here's the benefit for them. There's a few things. One, obviously, there's dedicated YouTube people that will buy it and be happy. Two, it gets them less reliant on external advertisers. They're getting money directly in the way that Netflix and Amazon does.
Right.
And it puts all the control in their hands, which is obviously one of the issues that people are, YouTubers have right now is if you're like a hardcore streamer or whatever, and you're on YouTube, you have, let's say 5 million subscribers on YouTube, you are so beholden to certain switches at Google, whether they promote your stuff or whether it gets bubbled to the top or whatever. And you have no leverage whatsoever. So any change that they make, they're just going to do, and you're going to be
you have to adopt.
Right, because it's like it's essentially like you have this big investment. Let's say you invested $1 million into one company, and you can't take it out.
Right.
So the money might grow, and you might make money off of it, but you can't move it to another. It's not like you can move it to Twitch and be fine. So I think,
I'm sorry, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, I think it's smart for Google. I think it's a drag for YouTubers, but YouTubers need to have known this is probably going to happen, is that they're going to be taken out of the equation when it comes to making these choices.
And YouTube, the internet moves at a very rapid pace, and it evolves at a very quick pace. It's nothing gold can stay, right? So,
What?
What's that?
What is that?
Nothing gold can stay.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, it's a. I don't know why.
It's an idiom.
It's an idiom. It's a new. It was in this Newfound Glory record,
Okay.
but it really means like nothing lasts forever.
Sure.
But nothing gold can stay. It's a thing.
Okay.
You.
No, never heard of it.
It's from a movie, I think.
Okay, right on.
I'm standing
Very
behind
erudite,
that. I'm standing by that.
Go for it.
New news comes out that YouTube not only like is forcing people to fall in line with this,
Yeah.
but they're saying they're going to completely remove videos of creators who
Right.
don't sign the deal.
Well, not
Who
remove
don't-
them, but hide them, which is
Hide
effectively the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Who don't sign up with Red. Like
Yeah.
who don't or aren't willing to accept that.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of messed up.
It's messed up, but again, all the leverage in the world.
They're like, yeah, we're just hosting your content.
And you have to consider, like, so of course they would be hidden, because if someone's paying for no ads on YouTube and one guy is like, no, I want them to see ads, like, what do you do with that piece of content?
Right.
You can't show it to the person that just paid for no ads. They're going to be pissed.
Exactly. And then YouTube, who is holding all the cards could be like, oh, all right, well, you're just not going to stream here anymore.
Right.
Put your content up somewhere else.
And what you're really seeing, the parallel is Spotify, essentially. Because with Spotify, the owners of the content get a very small percentage. And, they don't have a lot of options unless you're like Taylor Swift. And you're like, no, I'm going to take all my songs off here.
Right.
So, it's tough. But again, the company that owns the network, that owns this organization that you've decided to become a part of, has all the control in the world. And you could stamp your feet and be angry and be upset, but they're going to do what's going to be best for their company. They have shareholders, and it's kind of cold and heartless, but I don't know.
Yeah, I guess that's all you got to do is sort of like shrug your shoulders. I don't think there's a better, do you think there's a better way that Google/YouTube could have presented this change to its content creators? Like, YouTube's not going to live or die if PewDiePie goes away. So,
but there is a general conception of like YouTube being the destination for this sort of content, and what you don't want is like 50 of your top creators being pissed off enough
and like go to Vimeo
and to go to
something.
Vimeo or something like that. That would be their dangerous concern. I mean, I'd be curious, does this go into like the rev share and like what the difference in money they would make? I guess it varies depending on like how many videos people are watching. It seems like it would vary pretty dramatically.
It's going to change a little bit.
And I would say my guess is that for the top streamers, they're probably working on individual deals.
Yeah, I'm sure they have individual deals. One of the chief business officer at YouTube, Robert, I can't pronounce his name.
Zemeckis.
No, it's not Zemeckis. It's Kinsel, I'm going to say.
Okay.
Says that YouTube will pay out the vast majority of revenue to creators, but he repeatedly refused to detail what exactly that percentage would be.
Sure.
Now, subscription music services like Spotify pay out 70%. Apple Music pays out 71.5%. Oh, thanks for that extra 1.5%, Apple.
Sure.
Earlier this year, a change to the YouTube Partner Program terms said that creators would just be paid 55% of revenue. That is, comparatively speaking, that's pretty low.
Yeah.
I don't know. YouTube's got a lot of leverage. That's the thing. Like, YouTube, say what you will about YouTube, but it's the best player on the internet.
Yep.
It's the best infrastructure on the internet in terms of video searching. They're holding all the cards, man. Like, I'm not saying, you need to embrace that and bow down to it.
Yeah.
But until something better comes along, I mean, YouTube is so ingrained into the fabric of the internet.
Yeah, there's a conference coming to New York pretty shortly. It's like VidCon or StreamCon or something like that. I forget the name of it. And I got a press release email, and there's a bunch of names on it, like, come to a signing, pay $65 to meet and greet, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And it was literally a list of names of people I had never in my life heard of, and it made me feel
because they're not for us.
super old. And I totally get that. But what I did was I was like, let me check these people out. So I went and I like pasted the links and like went to their pages, and what I found was I've always been
amazing production value.
They were not badly produced stuff, but what I found was that I was surprised. I've always been on the impression that if you were a big YouTuber and you got in early and you have like, let's say 1 million subscribers, that's something you can bank on. Like, you're always going to get tons of views on your stuff because you have all these subscribers.
Not necessarily,
constantly.
though.
Right. So what I found was there was a woman that had been producing videos for about 5 years. She had about 1 million subscribers. And I was looking at her view numbers, and the view numbers about 4 years ago were like 500,000, 7,500,000, stuff like that.
75,
whatever, 750,000. Thank you. And then you see this tail off where she's and the last week it was like 5K, 10K, stuff like that. And she still has those subscribers, but like what happened in the algorithm that was not causing her to stay on top? So I think a lot of people get this misconception that people can kind of ride this train to the bank and guarantee like, oh, I have a career for life now.
Right.
It's a day in, day
constant
out,
hustle.
constant hustle.
Yeah.
And it's social media promotion and it's production of the videos and it's all sorts of stuff. And for someone that like was so well viewed and then like kind of fell off, that's a tough pill to swallow.
It's really tough. And I wonder, all it does is like make me think about the future where like, is it just going to be like this for a while? Like, are we just going to have these flavor of the week YouTube people who maybe make 200 grand in 1 year and they're like, shit, I could do this for the rest of my life. But then the next month they only make like 600 bucks. Like,
I don't think it's month to month, but I think over the course of 3 years,
it is month to month. I feel like,
sure.
I don't know, man. If you,
I think there's always going to be people that are sort of perennial, the like Howard Stern equivalent that become like constantly watched. Like even PewDiePie, I think will be around for many, many years.
But like that's one guy.
I know. No,
That's
you're right.
one
And there
guy
are a
on the
few.
internet.
There are a few that I think like have been around for 6 years and they've only grown and increased in quality and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, you can't rely on these fan bases because let's say your content is designed for 10-year-olds or 12-year-olds or whatever. They get old. It doesn't apply to them anymore. It's the MTV problem. MTV's always had that problem of like holding on to people. Same deal. And now you're only a dude. You're not like an entire company trying to fix this problem and producing new content. You're just this guy.
Tell me if you've ever heard of any of the top 15 most popular YouTubers in the world.
Okay. I'm going to say unlikely, but go down the list.
All right. And this is from a month ago.
Sure. Does it have their subscriber counts too?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the like top number one subscriber?
Well, you know who number one
Okay.
is.
So PewDiePie.
Number one is PewDiePie.
Sure.
Number one's PewDiePie with, get this, PewDiePie cumulatively has had 10.1 billion total views.
Unbelievable.
39.3 million total subscribers.
Yeah.
More of anyone on YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay.
Meanwhile, on TV, if you have 1 million people tune in, that's like a good.
That's great.
It's like a monster week.
That's like way better than like probably any news
Mad Men
program.
is like the top episode of Mad Men. I think got 3 million people tuning in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like you're in serious company.
Yeah.
Number 15 is KSI.
Okay. Are you counting up from 15?
Yeah.
Okay. Never heard.
KSI
I think you
is
can go quickly.
yeah, I'm gonna have to blast through these. KSI is a guy who played FIFA video games.
Okay.
And he
sure
became
big in Europe.
Yeah, I don't know. Number 14, Porta dos Fundos.
Nope. I know Porta de Rossi.
Number 13, Ray William Johnson.
No, kind of sounds like a serial killer, but go on.
Number 12 is just some guy in a room with like a SpongeBob character.
Okay.
Vegeta 777.
Vegeta, probably the character from Dragon Ball Z, but I don't know who the guy is.
I don't like what is this?
Okay, keep going.
Sky Does Minecraft.
Nope.
Is number 11.
Minecrafter, sure.
Number 10 is Yuya.
Nope.
Yuya.
I'm imagining like a Hatsune Miku kind of digital girl character, but go on.
Number 9, I've heard of this, Epic Rap Battles.
Okay, I've heard of that.
Number 8, I know, The Fine Brothers.
Okay.
That's like people react to.
Yeah.
Number 7 is El Rubius OMG.
Nope. No idea.
These names suck, by the way. Like I respect your ability, your talent, and you are amazingly popular on YouTube.
Sure.
But a lot of these names suck.
A lot of them just feel like AOL IM names.
They sound like shitty handles.
Like you were like 10 and you're like, oh, this would be cool if I put a bunch of X's around it.
Snowboarder X420. That's like, why is that guy not good?
Yeah.
Number 6 is Vanis Gaming.
Nope.
Number 5, I don't want to say this word.
Uh-oh.
Looks like a bad word. But it's something, it's HIGA /
Higa.
Higa TV.
How does that sound like a bad word?
Well, the first one is with an N in front of it.
Oh, boy.
Number 4 is Jenna Marbles.
Oh, I've heard of her, but I've never seen one of her videos.
Number 3 is Smosh. I know Smosh.
Okay, yeah.
Number 2 is Ola Soy German.
Nope, no idea. I mean, a lot of these are probably international folks.
And it's all gaming stuff, too.
That's what's crazy about it.
It's like games. And number 1 is PewDiePie. Look, I'm not going to be this like, shaking my fist at the computer screen.
I feel old, but I totally acknowledge that's where things are right now.
And it's not like I don't get it. No. I get it. Sure. I understand what's happening.
And there are YouTubers that I like. I'm a big fan of Donkey. I don't know if you've heard of Donkey.
No, I don't know what that is.
He does video game streaming. It's one of the very few YouTubers I can watch. And I watch like the informational stuff, like Planet Destiny does a very good job. So I like watch some of this stuff, but the like cult of personality thing where people are like, literally there were people paying $100 to get a signature from a YouTuber is just like bonkers crazy to me. And they make they can make hundreds of thousands of dollars in a day doing one of these signings. So it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, look, when your audience is planet Earth, instead of like, a small town in Iowa, things change. Yeah. But it's great. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good because we're traveling at the speed of light towards something great, right? We're all on this voyage together.
Unless it's like Event Horizon.
Yeah, where the end is nothing.
Yeah, and Sam Neill turns into the devil.
Maybe. I don't know. We're hurtling towards something. Right now, we're going to hurdle towards a goddamn commercial, though.
Oh, wow.
Right? Because we got to pay the bills.
Sam Neill.
Because we're on this antiquated medium. We're not YouTubing. We're podcasting.
Can we get money from people and we'll just stop doing commercials?
Yeah, if you guys just want to send us money.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Send it to the 404 Show, care of CNET.com. We'll be back right after this. Stay tuned. My friend Russ Frushtick. We talk a lot about SoftLayer and clouds.
We do, all the time.
They're a staple of the show by now,
yes,
are they not?
They really are.
If you want a cloud built for transparency...
I think clouds are already built for transparency, but I think you're meaning technical clouds.
They're not built. God builds them.
Good point.
You want ones that IBM builds.
Yes.
For your company. Because your demands are unique and you need to have a private and secure cloud infrastructure. Guess what? We got guys for that. They're called SoftLayer. SoftLayer is an IBM company. In fact, IBM, you've heard of IBM. They use SoftLayer as their cloud infrastructure. For any kind of cloud stuff IBM does, they hit up SoftLayer. For our listeners right now, you can get $500 off cloud infrastructure by visiting softlayer.com/podcast. Get $500 off anything you want that they offer. Metal servers, virtual servers, storage, networking, any kind of security service, all that, $500 off. Visit softlayer.com/podcast. Sign up today. Hey, welcome back to the 404 Show. Yeah, it freaks me out, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess a bit of a part of me is a little jealous.
A little bit, yeah.
Because when we were that kind of like, wheelhouse age to do this, the internet was shit.
Yeah, but you have to consider like if we were 10 years older, then we'd like really be out of position to do like the web stuff. So at least we're like vaguely kind of knowledgeable about how to do this stuff.
Yeah, I maintain we have a very interesting generational position.
We're definitely straddling the two sides.
We're the straddlers, man. Yeah. Grew up with nothing, no internet. I mean, not nothing, but nothing really digital.
Right.
Until, CDs, I guess. Right? What was digital before CD? Your watch?
Yeah, my watch was pretty digital back then, yeah. Yeah.
Unbelievable. All right, we're shifting gears a little bit. This is a funny story coming from Russ about being a medieval bell ringer.
Yeah, so what I didn't realize, and I found this story, it was a highlighted Today I Learned on Reddit's new content site, upvoted.com, which is a pretty cool content site. And apparently one of the, being a bell ringer, like the gentleman that rings the bell at the top of a church, during the Middle Ages was one of the worst jobs in history. Do you have any idea why?
I would imagine they didn't have a great way for you to get up there.
I mean, you're probably right.
Like, I would imagine it was like a rickety ass.
like a
climb.
Batman stairs.
Yeah, almost where you're like, shit, I really should have been like the donation collector.
Sure. I'm pretty sure at that point everyone had sort of accepted the fact that stairs were pretty much the only option for verticality.
I guess
no
so.
one was like, I wish there was like an elevator. Wait, that hasn't been invented and won't come for another 1,000 years.
You just have to like rappel up to this bell tower.
Yeah.
Is that what you call rappel up? Is that the right word?
I think rappel, you just rappel down.
So how do
climb
you
up.
Just climb? We're just going to use climb?
Yeah, we'll go with climb.
You just got to move up that.
No, good guess though. So
what year are we talking?
So we're talking Middle Ages. I guess this is like 1200, somewhere around there.
Okay. I just think life must have been so funny
Let's
900 years ago.
But it's also like it went for a while. So the issue at hand, which seems kind of obvious, is that a lot of these bell ringers were getting struck by lightning. Like it was a very common.
Really?
It was a span of about 20 years where 120 bell ringers got struck by lightning and killed.
Oh my God.
And why is because bells for a very long time were advertised as being a prevention of lightning. When you rang the bell, it would prevent lightning strikes.
Oh my gosh, so they would go up during a storm. You dumbasses.
To stop the lightning.
Come on.
Yeah.
Even in the 1200s, if that's the right.
I mean, sorry. So we're looking the 121 bell ringers killed between 1750 and 1783.
Okay, that's way too recent. That's way too recent for the Darwin Award.
But this is also
pre-Darwin.
But that's also the same era as like Ben Franklin with his key experiment.
Right. Yeah, guess what? Found a pattern here.
Right. I still don't understand that key experiment. Do you have any understanding?
Is that a true thing? You flew
maybe.
a kite with a key on it? And
what
the
did it
lightning
do?
struck the key.
And what happened? The
He's
key
like,
turned
oh
red?
shit, metal conducts electricity.
But did the key turn red and that's how you knew?
No, I think
How would you get the key down?
No, because the key, maybe it was like the key, the lightning only struck the kite when there was a key there and not when there was no key.
Maybe.
And he's like, oh shit, I should power the world with that.
Right. Yeah.
Is
I don't
what
think
I'm
he got to
thinking.
that stage yet. But
Yeah.
And then Edison killed an elephant.
Dude, he was such a bastard.
Yeah, he was a big dick.
Oh my God, him and Steve Jobs are like
I
the
know.
two biggest dicks in technological history.
And great marketers and knew how to shut down competition.
Yeah, by snuffing them out.
Right.
By breaking their ankles and throwing them in the Hudson.
Yeah.
Not that they're murderers of humans. But
yeah,
anyway.
so just so people are aware, if you happen to work in a church or near a church and it's during a lightning storm, don't ring the bell.
And don't play golf during a lightning storm either.
What if you were golfing with like wooden clubs? I realize woods are not made of wood, but like if you just had wooden clubs, it'd be fine, right? I guess if you were in a field, it's not safe.
I mean, the point is that you don't want to be the highest point in a field.
There was
and usually golf courses are flat.
Yeah.
Or not flat, but there's not a lot of I don't know.
I had a very intense moment. I was in summer camp. I was about 11 years old and I was windsurfing. And a lightning storm. I was in the middle of the lake. So windsurfing on this lake, a lightning storm comes out of nowhere. Like
just
it goes from 0 to lightning storm in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
no joke.
That could happen.
And I'm like, I've got this metal pole.
I'm dead.
Like I'm
on
like,
the water.
Do I paddle? Do I stick my arms in the water?
You just
do
jumped.
I like blow?
What'd you do?
I paddled my way back in.
You like jumped off the sailboat.
Well, no, I couldn't. I didn't want to get in the water because the water would get electrified.
I don't think the entire lake gets electrocuted.
I don't know. I didn't know at the time. I still don't know.
Yeah,
I think the sediments probably diffuse it. I think if it's clear, like pool water, you'd get electrocuted and dead.
Because it's like this own contained.
Right, but there's nothing in like in the lake. It gets absorbed by like algae and stuff.
Yeah, there's things.
But it was very scary for me.
That is scary, man.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the scariest lightning storm situation that I've ever been in. A lot of the weird storms that I remember from my childhood are camp related. I guess because of the summertime's the time.
And you're outside way more.
Outside,
yeah.
I've never seen lightning strike anything though.
Really?
Yeah. I don't think I have.
Okay. You've seen it in the distance. I've seen lightning hit like gargoyles in the city. It's pretty cool.
Gargoyle just sits there like, "What's up? I'm
Bring
stoned."
Bring it.
Literally did nothing to me. Can take that all day.
It made a dope spark.
It made a dope spark.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna pivot into a story about tough times working at Google.
I mean, it's nice to work at Google. The problem is you can't work there all the time. When you want to sleep, you need another option.
So like I read this story. It's not a long one. And I guess I don't understand it. I guess I understand it, but I at the same time I'm confused by some of the elements to it. It's about a 23-year-old named Brandon who moved from Massachusetts to the Bay Area back in May to start working as a software engineer at Google. He tried to find a place in San Francisco to live, but it was too freaking expensive. San Francisco does have higher real estate renting prices than Manhattan, for the record. So he's like, screw this. I'm not going to live in an apartment. I'm going to actually just get a truck.
Yeah.
I'm going to live in the truck, and I'm actually going to put it in the parking lot of Google. And that's what he's been doing. He moved into a 128 square foot truck, and he's just sort of been like doing that for a while.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the fact that Google allows, has free food, and I think they have showers and stuff like that, allows for this sort of living. Most normal companies, you could not do this because you'd come to work and you'd be like, hey, where's my breakfast or where's my place to shower? And they wouldn't have that option. But because all these tech companies are so filled with amenities because they want people to stay at work and not head out, all these people, this is not the only story we've seen. There's been dozens of them, of people living in cars. Because, that's the idea. You're at work, let's say, until 8 o'clock at night. You go sleep in your van until 7, and then you go to work and take a shower, and you're working again.
It's still a very sad existence for someone who's working at Google. The 2006 Ford truck that he bought, and this is like a box truck.
Yeah, it's like a moving van.
It's like a Penske sort of situation.
Sure.
Is that the right?
Penske. Yeah.
Penske. The truck cost him $10,000, had 157,000 miles on it. It cost him an even $10,000, which he paid up front when he got his signing bonus. People don't get signing bonuses.
No.
You get a signing bonus and you just pay it towards your car van,
right?
Your truck house that you're living in. He projected that he was going to break even on October 21st, and apparently he did. He's got a site up called Thoughts from Inside the Box. He's got one fixed cost. That's truck insurance, which he pays $121 a month for. He doesn't use electricity, and his phone bill gets handled by Google. Yeah, but he lives in a freaking box truck.
Yeah. He's not meeting anyone that way. Hey, can we go back to your place? Sure. Right in front of Best Buy.
Hey, can we go back? Just give me a minute. I got to drive it over here.
Someone actually did some math and figured out you could commute from Las Vegas to San Francisco and still have it be cheaper
than living there.
Than living in San Francisco.
I believe it. It's bad. What's going on there? What is happening?
So the issue, a lot of the issue is that there's so much speculation in terms of the value of the land that I think they increased their evictions by 10% over the last year. And you have companies like Airbnb, which I use a lot. They're good companies, but the flip side of that is all these people that would ordinarily be like, I need to find a renter for this place. You don't necessarily need that. You can just say, hey, I'm going to, put it on Airbnb and make some money. Yeah. So you have all these single units that are just sort of empty and there's no place for people to move and the demand is sky high. So you're paying $3,500 a month for a 1-bedroom in downtown San Francisco, which is outrageous. It's nowhere near that in New York. It's expensive in New York, don't get me wrong, but it's probably 20% less than that.
It's just I don't know. I mean, I just feel like this guy shouldn't have to do this.
Yeah.
I know Google set up some sort of dormitory situation recently.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
Where they are doing something. I thought they were figuring out a way to get people to live there reasonably without.
There's an easy solve, and Japan came up with it. It's called capsule hotels. Just live in a tube, and it's fun.
That is a sad thing.
I've gone.
Yeah, those are like coffins.
They are, but is that sadder than living in a van? I don't know.
No, I'd rather live in a van than a coffin.
Than a tube?
I'd rather live in a van down by the river.
I think it's a little more social to live in the tube community. They probably have they interact.
Every night it's tube night.
Can you hook up with people that are only adjacent to your tube?
Yeah,
That
and that
seems
can
like
only fit in your tube.
Well, yeah.
So I would get claustrophobic with that.
It's weird.
It's
but they do
weird.
have little TVs built in and plugs for your
it's great.
stuff.
Oh yeah, because we're just sardines. Pack us in.
Yeah.
We're human beings.
It would
damn
probably
it.
be more expensive than $121 a month, though.
Yeah,
So
it would be. All right. I want to switch gears one last time to a thing that people always ask me about, and I never have an educated answer until now.
Okay.
Talking about vampire power. Basically, the question is, should you leave your plug?
I'm like, turning into a bat? Turning into mist? Sorry, yes. Go ahead.
The question is, should you unplug your chargers when you're not using them?
Okay, I 100% never do.
No one does. But How to Geek did, and they measured it, and they figured out a way to figure out how much electricity vampire power is actually using and costing.
Okay.
So they did a lot of testing by taking this kilowatt measuring device. So that basically stands in between your charger and the outlet.
Yeah.
You plug it in, and the thing can see how much power is being pulled.
Sure.
So they plugged in a charger by itself, and the register didn't go above 0.0 watts, which means it's negligible. You can't even. It's not even worth looking at.
Right.
So then they finally like, well, damn, we got to get this thing to register something. So they plugged an entire surge protector into it.
Okay.
And then filled every slot in the surge protector with a phone charger.
Okay.
And only then did they get the thing to register, and it finally showed 0.3 watts. Now, I don't know if you are aware of how much a watt costs.
No.
But when you equate, so let's say you had this 0.3 watts, which again is 6 chargers unplugged into the surge protector, which goes into the outlet, is drawing, with no charging involved, is drawing 0.3 watts at any given time. Okay? Let's assume that you keep those 6 chargers plugged in for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for an entire year.
Yeah.
That's 8,760 hours the entire year, and that equals to 2.628 kilowatt hours, which is kWh, which is what shows up on your electric bill.
Yeah.
Okay? That would cost you, on average in the U.S., about 34 cents a year.
That's spectacular. That's great.
So I don't know. Like, I feel like.
So there you go. That's solved.
But I feel like there was this whole big controversy over vampire power.
I think because people didn't know the true answer.
Even if you live in Hawaii.
Is that the most expensive power?
Even if you live in Hawaii, where a kilowatt hour costs 30 cents per kilowatt hour.
Versus what?
Versus the average in the U.S., which is about 13.
Oh, wow.
Significantly more.
Yeah.
Even if you did that, it's 79 cents for the year.
Yeah.
For the year.
Now, that's great. I'm very happy with this because I have tons of plugs in my apartment that I'm not using.
The question I want to know is it a fire hazard?
Well, I'm sure it is a fire hazard, but that notwithstanding. Well, first of all, I want to know.
No, there'd be more fires.
How does it know to start sending the power? What's telling it?
You're serious.
I'm dead serious. I have no idea.
You don't know how electricity works?
No.
You think there's just like little microchips?
I have no idea how it knows to start sending power. No idea. I'm an idiot, clearly.
No, because there's not really like an answer because it doesn't
Wait,
know.
follow-up question. Those surge protectors that have little lights on them to indicate that they're plugged in, does that increase the amount?
Apparently by a micro amount, yeah.
Well, were they using those, though?
The surge they have in the thing does have that little light.
Okay. Understood.
And maybe that's what's drawing the 0.3 watts.
Yeah, that might be a topic for another show, is explaining to me how electricity works.
Only a certain amount of power can run through an outlet.
I'm aware of that.
Right?
That's why they have converters for stuff.
And the power and the products you plug in are limited to how much power they can suck.
Sure.
And it's just the metal touching the metal that conducts the electricity.
So the product itself is whatever, programmed.
It's got a built-in limiter.
Limiter. Okay, I understand.
Because if you use the wrong wattage on a thing, you can blow a circuit.
Sure. Okay.
It's not much more complicated than that.
Now, the other question I have, and this I think is a more significant worry for people.
Where does the sun go at night?
No, I was going to say sleep mode for your devices. So like sleep, like you put your computer to sleep or you put your PS4 to sleep.
Draws less power.
But still significant amounts of a lot more than what.
It draws power. I don't know how much, but it draws power.
I know that the Earthies have been very concerned about that stuff.
They're not happy with sleep mode.
No.
So like, I mean, I would imagine you've been to my house. You've seen like I've got a bunch of consoles plugged in.
You might as well have a smoke snack coming out of your ceiling,
just burning coal. It's significant, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I don't want to know. My bill is more than I would like to pay, but
Sure.
it's not astronomical.
no, yeah, sure.
So
Okay,
until I hit like $500 a month, I'm cool.
yeah.
I'm not doing that.
Con Ed, man.
Is Con Ed even like the thing still?
Yeah, how do you get power? Who do you pay?
PSE and G.
Right, because you're Jersey.
It's Jersey. Yeah.
Con Ed is like New York.
It's just Manhattan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Edison.
All right. Edison.
He's everywhere.
Yeah, man. Tesla, baby. We miss you. One love. One love.
One love.
All right. We're going to get to the Product Hunt game of the week, and then we will say
Yeah.
goodbye to you fine people.
So the game of the week on producthunt.com/games it's called Emily is Away. And it's
Where'd she go?
That's a good question. It's a short game. And Jeff, I think you might appreciate this. This goes back to us talking about our early days on the internet. It's it's an interactive fiction story. It's all set in an IM message box that looks like it's like mid 90s, like Windows 95 IM message box.
How is this not a copyright infringement?
Because it's like parody. I don't know. It doesn't say like AOL, but it uses some of the icons.
The best are the buddy icons.
Yeah.
There's like a Blink 182 buddy icon.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. It's like super accurate for the time, and there's like it's just a really clever kind of throwback interactive fiction thing.
So what is it? It's just a simulator with a robot?
Yeah, essentially there's an AI
Yeah.
person. It's not like there's someone hired to do this day in, day out.
It's cool.
There should be. But it's cool. Check it out. Emily is Away.
Is it free?
I think it
Because
it is free. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's name your own price.
Right.
So if you're a jerk, you could pay nothing.
Oh, just give them $1.
Give them $1.
You know,
And
I mean,
it's,
look, do I think you should pay a lot more than $1 for an IM simulator from the 90s? Probably not.
No.
You know,
You could pay your AOL monthly fee if you want to do that. Be
Yeah.
authentic.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's neat.
One of the reviews of Emily is Away comes from Rock Paper Shotgun. It says from Joe Donnelly. Emily is Away does a fine job of transporting me back to a time in my life I had mostly forgotten about. It's pretty cool.
Good for Emily's Away.
Man, long live the AIM Away message.
Yeah.
One love.
Yeah.
What was your, did you do
Deep
custom
quote.
ones?
I think mine
were
was-
always lyrics.
I think mine for a very long time was my yearbook quote from high school, which they artificially truncated, much to my chagrin.
They censored mine.
They censored mine too.
Not truncated. They censored.
Well, effectively, they censored mine.
They
by
censored mine because
truncating
they
it.
thought it was too aggressive.
Okay, what was yours?
Mine was a George Carlin quote that said, "If you can't beat them,
Yeah.
arrange to have them beaten."
It's funny.
And they're like, no. They're like, no, you can't do that.
Okay, mine was even worse than that.
Yours was, go F yourself, San Diego.
No, my full quote was, brevity is the soul of wit. Poop. And they truncated it without telling me. So
It's
when I
just
got the
brevity
yearbook,
is the soul of wit?
so I just looked like a pretentious asshole.
Oh, God. Everyone's like, good luck, Einstein.
Yeah, really. Oh, nice reference, Shakespeare.
Shakespeare.
So that was depressing.
Very good.
Good times.
Very good stuff.
Memories.
You know what? I feel bad. We were almost going to skip out on the subreddit.
No,
I don't
don't
wanna
do that.
I don't want to do that.
One love to subreddit.
Reddit.com/r/the404. That is my bad. I had it here in the rundown, but I forgot about it for some reason. Okay. So some costumes we missed. The left shark from the Katy Perry Super Bowl halftime
That's got to
show.
be done at this point, right? We're talking about almost a full year ago.
Look, I'm just telling you
Okay.
what I'm seeing.
Okay.
Okay?
Sure.
Lenny Lannister writes in and says, hey, I haven't heard from Ariel in a while. What's his deal? What's he working on? When is he going to make another sick beat for the intro? So Ariel is perfectly fine and well. He is pretty much leading our video efforts here in New York. So really doesn't have time to do a lot of stuff aside from that. So yeah, that's like the long
He got
and
too
short
big
of
for
it.
us.
He's pretty big time. You know,
Blowing
he
stuff
does
up.
he does really good stuff. So they're keeping him busy. Flying Donkey writes in, asks if I've switched to T-Mobile yet. Would you consider Project Fi or Fi. Is that what it is? Google Fi?
Oh.
Fi. I do have a Project Fi invite that I haven't taken advantage of yet, but I will be switching to T-Mobile in a few weeks when my Nexus 6P arrives.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I'm going to switch over to T-Mobile. If I don't like T-Mobile, then I'm going to go to Project Fi. It's definitely Fi. Project Fi.
Like Wi-Fi.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sprink writes in, he's like, have you thought about Cricket? They have really good coverage. What the hell is Cricket?
Cricket Wireless.
Is that like a budget?
I think, yeah, I've seen commercials for it. I feel like they're like the Best Buy brand mobile phone. I've seen commercials. I don't know. But it does, I think it's the cheaper option. So I'm glad that they have coverage. But yeah, I've never looked into them.
I don't know. Fanman Low says, please cover more tech topics. Dude, I think we do.
We hit up a lot of tech topics today.
And especially this month with the Microsoft event, we did. He goes talk about the Surface and the MacBook Pro and the Chrome. Yeah, man, we talked about that stuff
all
last
that
week.
Stuff. You got to pay more attention. I know you're just like taken in by the sound of our voices, but we're hitting it.
You got to listen.
Right.
Is HTC's A9 the last phone from HTC before they go belly up? And do you have a problem with them copying Apple so closely? I don't care. I just don't care. I know the M8, people love that phone. You know what I'm talking about? The HTC M8?
No, I've never seen
You know what that phone is?
No, I don't know that phone. I have seen the A9, though.
And it looks great.
Yeah, it looks great. I mean, it does look like an iPhone, but whatever.
I don't know.
Who cares?
Hey, Jeff, your wife has a small chance to run into another Morticia on Halloween because it was ranked 150 at the moment. And realize...
Is there a ranking?
There's a ranking.
Where is that ranking?
There's a ranking. It's frightgeist.withgoogle.com. Conjure up Halloween's most popular costumes, and then they like rank them, so you can see like what's trending nationally. So you hover over this interactive map, and you can see what the most popular costume in your area is.
Star Wars stuff.
So superhero is the most trending.
Wait, that's not specific enough.
I know, but it goes in, and then it goes to Harley Quinn.
Got it.
Batman, Star Wars, and then Wonder Woman.
Harley Quinn, that's a bold. You really have to lean into Harley Quinn.
Can't just do pigtails.
No.
I mean, you can't just do pigtails on a mallet.
No.
You got to go all in. So this is actually a really cool interactive site. It's called frightgeist.withgoogle.com. We'll link to that in the show notes as well. Thank you, Guy from Trinidad, for sharing that with us. We appreciate it. Let's see what else we got here in the subreddit. Do we have anything else in the subreddit? We do. This comes from Chibi-Kangnaga.
Okay.
Chibi. So what do you think of the new Star Wars trailer?
I didn't watch it.
Oh, because
I've decided to stop.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. A part of me for Star Wars does kind of want to be part of this zeitgeist of like enthusiasm that's going on, and I am very excited about the new Star Wars movie.
Are you?
Yes, I actually am.
Mm-hmm.
But I've gotten to the point where my memory is so weird about remembering things in the trailer that I just sit through the whole movie waiting for like that moment to happen. I can't. I wish I could turn that part of my brain off, and I know I'm gonna see it, and I have like a hookup to see it on opening night, so that's great. But yeah, I'm done watching the trailers. Like, I'm done.
You are the worst.
Apparently Maine is very clown heavy, by the way.
What is that about?
Regarding the costumes.
In that little interactive map?
Lots of clowns.
So, all right. So I guess I can't even talk about it then because...
I mean, I don't know
you know Kylo Ren. You know what that is, right?
Yeah, I know who he is.
And you know who's playing him.
Yes.
So I didn't know Adam Driver was playing him.
Okay.
But I did know because I think that Kylo Ren's mask looks a little like Adam Driver's face.
I think it's more...
Is that awful to say? Is it weird?
I don't think it looks like his face, but I think his body is very lithe, like Jack Skellington body.
Yes.
It does definitely. I mean, it looks like him.
I think Adam Driver is great. And
he's a great actor.
I love him.
Very good.
I really do enjoy him.
Here's what I would say. I've never seen him play like a grounded role. Like he's always a very over-the-top kind of character.
No, he's barely in that inside Llewyn Davis.
Oh, yeah,
he's
I didn't
barely
see it.
in that.
Yeah,
but
he's a very talented actor. Don't get me wrong, and clearly like
he's got a lot of range on girls. Like
but it's always like a very intense performance. Like there's no like casual moment with him, which is fine. Like, that's why he's so successful.
All right, let's just do one thing. So you know he's the bad guy.
Yes.
You know that. Do you think he survives this movie?
That's a good question. I think he's gotta. I think he does.
I think he's too cool of a...
Well, but you could argue that about Darth Maul as well.
Darth Maul's pretty badass.
But here's the thing. Here's the reason I say yes. Is you need a villain to extend through all 3 movies. There needs to be consistency there. You can't have just like, zombie of the week situation.
Sure.
And, unless they bring like a blue ghost of the Emperor back, which would be pretty lame, like... You need a new villain, and he looks pretty badass as villain. So by killing him off, I don't know. For all I know, in the trailer, there's a blue ghost of the Emperor floating around shooting lightning at people. What are you saying? Where do they get these names? It does seem like a name generator situation.
Perfect Star Wars.
Yeah, it is a very
name. Good. It's cooler than Darth Vader.
You're not excited at all for the movie?
No, I am.
Did you get more excited after watching this new trailer?
It's a good trailer.
Yeah.
It's good. Like, so my thing is like, I think I'm gonna like the 7, 8, 9 more than 1 through 6.
Okay,
well no one likes
1
1
through
3
terrible.
gives a shit.
Sure.
But 4 through 6, I think I'm gonna like 7 through 9 better.
This is my guess. I think 7 is gonna be really, really good.
I just don't see anything like. I feel like this is what the Star Wars that everybody wants.
So I think 7's gonna be really good. The problem is, J.J. Abrams is not directing 8.
He's not.
No.
Who is?
I think he's only... I forget the guy's name.
Zack Snyder.
It's not Zack Snyder. But that's the issue.
Brett Ratner.
He's not... I'm pretty sure he's not directing 8.
That's dumb to me.
And...
Why?
Well, let's say, for argument's sake, let's say he is directing 8. It doesn't matter, because my feeling on J.J. Abrams is that he's amazingly good at rebooting and starting something fresh, but continuing with it, not so good. If you look at like Star Trek 2.
Star Trek 2 is not bad.
It's not bad, but it's not great. It's pretty middling. It's
underwhelming compared to the first, but I think it's still solid. It's good, man. Man, that first Star Trek's so good.
Yeah, the first Star Trek's amazing.
It's fun.
So I think that's the issue, is expectations are going to be so high for the second one.
Yeah.
The other issue is that I think that the spin-off movies are really going to be like, I'm worried about the quality there. Like whether you can maintain that stuff. Because it's like, it all ties to, like, you want to say it's like Avengers, where it's like you have all these separate stories and they all come together, but it's not. It's not that. It's like one of them is going to be set in olden times with young Boba Fett, and one of them is going to be here and one of them is going to be there. So they are separate stories, and it's hard to imagine that the like quality would be maintained. So I have very high hopes for the first one and like cautious optimism beyond that.
Okay. I can handle that.
We'll see.
Very good, sir. Thanks for the chat about that at the end. I'm glad you didn't go completely cold on me talking about Star Wars.
No, I can talk about it. I don't want to see
Just watch the trailer. Stop being such a loser.
I'm a baby, I know.
Just watch it.
No, I'm not going to watch it, but I'm a baby.
I'm going to describe it to you in vivid detail after the show.
Do me a favor. Draw it for me.
I will draw it frame by frame. I will do a storyboard. 866-404-CNET. That's the phone number. Shoot us an email, the404@cnet.com. Follow us on our subreddit and partake in the conversation when the show's not on the air. Reddit.com/r/the404. We're back here next week. Might have a guest. We'll have to see how that goes.
Yeah.
It's our spooky Halloween show.
You know what happens next week as well.
All these ghouls and goblins, boo and whatnot.
I think next week might be game 1 of the World Series.
Oh my. No, it's not. It's the 27th.
No, game 3 then.
But let's go Mets.
Go Mets.
And watch those Jim Brewer videos. They're so good.
I still haven't watched them, but I will.
They're so good. And it's also my 5-year wedding anniversary.
Oh, look at that. Spending it in Citi Field.
I'm not going. I wish I was going. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Until then, I'm Jeff Bakalar.
I'm Russ Frushtick.
This has been the 404 Show, High Tech, Low Brow. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next time.